And the Senate says its Committee on Constitutional Review did not propose the creation of additional 20 states to the existing 36. The upper chamber says such requests for the creation of more states were only referred by the committee to the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, to ensure compliance with provisions of Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on state creation. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Ajibola Basiru, says he has refuted the claims, saying that the report is a gross misrepresentation of the decision of the committee on the request for the creation of more states.
Okay, well, the senator that refuted that report joins us now. Senator Ajibola Basiru is the spokesman of the Senate. Thanks very much for your patience and coming on Newsnight.
Good evening.
How topsy-turvy has it really been? You know, like the Senate, the National Assembly was rattled with the issue of the 20 additional states. Is it a mission impossible? I mean, is it not part of what the people are demanding?
We were not actually rattled, but I was surprised that some media can go to press with what I regard as a gross misrepresentation. We had here in this premises, Transcorp, 3-day retreat of the Constitutional Review Committee of the Senate, presided over by the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ovio Magege, from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I think it was the closing day that issue of request of state was raised, and we were not only sitting as senators, we were sitting with our team of consultants, and we were rightly advised that Section 8 of the Constitution is the operating provision when it comes to creation of state and local government. We must make a distinction between general amendment of Constitution, which is provided in Section 9. Even at that too, when you want to amend Section you want to amend the provision on the fundamental right, you have to comply with special provision which require 4/5 of the two chambers to agree to it. So when it comes to creation of state, it's not just by bill or mere constitutional amendment. The procedure spelled out. There must be a request supported by 2/3 majority of people in the area of the elected representative in the National Assembly and State Assembly of the area making the request. There must be a referendum. 2/3 of the people within the area to be carved out must agree to that before you can even talk of coming before the National Assembly.
It's a long process, like you have actually told us, going by the constitutional provisions as to how new states can be created. But I do know that the creation of new state is actually top of the priority of the Ninth Assembly. I do know that for a fact. It is part of it. I can, the evidence to prove that fact. I do know that we're looking at, the reforms and all of that. But beyond all of that, I want to look at the fact that in Nigeria today, less than 5% of the 36 states that we have are economically viable. Why is the creation of new states a priority at this time?
I think it's also wrong, with respect to you, to say that the priority of a Nigerian Senate or National Assembly is creation of state. Far from it.
I didn't say it is a priority. It's part of the priority.
It's not even part of the priority. Okay. I think it's very important to educate Nigerians as to the process of constitutional making. The constitutional making is not about what we as National Assembly only want. The procedure we call for memoranda from Nigerians and was submitted from all over the country on different areas. Issue of gender, issue of local government creation, issue of judiciary, and so many other subject matter. So state creation is just one of many issues thrown up by Nigerians, not by National Assembly. And of course, when that request is made, it has to be subjected to the requirement of the Constitution. I will not speak as to whether there's merit or otherwise in the request for creation, but whether there's merit or no merit, you have to comply with the provision of the Constitution.
But do you believe we need more states?
If you want to speak, you see, there's a difference between speaking on behalf of the Senate as an institution and speaking on behalf of myself as Ajibola Basiru representing Osun Central. If you want to allow me to speak as a person, it's a different thing, and I don't want to
please speak as a representative of the Nigerian Senate, as its spokesperson. How would you, juxtapose Governor Akeredolu's position that a new constitution is indeed needed, citing agitations from agitators about regionalism or the type of government they want, jettisoning the unitary government and the rest, and the position of legislators from the South together with their governors. We saw a departure from that when you were voting whether electronic transmission of results should be or not to be.
I think I must first clarify the falsehood and the mischief about the issue of the way and pattern we voted on electronic transmission. We did not vote against electronic transmission. We voted in support of electronic transmission in a way that ensure integrity and fairness.
Subjecting NCC and INEC to your whims and
caprices. It's not whims and caprices, with respect. At section item 22, paragraph 22 of the exclusive legislative list gave the National Assembly power to make law as to election into the office of the president, vice president, governor, and any other offices created. Part of the prerogative of National Assembly is to determine the mode of election, the mode of conduct of primary, and all those parameters. Far from it, we have not taken any away from the fact that INEC has independence to conduct election within the framework of the law enacted pursuant to paragraph 22, which is made in pursuance of section 4 of the 1999 Constitution.
Are you isolating section 98 too, that gives it, there is a constitutional provision of INEC to determine how elections
there's no such law in Nigeria, and I say this with all sense of responsibility and positional knowledge. I have a PhD in law from prestigious University of Lagos. So when I talk about law, it's apart from being a politician, I'm a legal scholar and I am a published author. On item 22, and I challenge anybody on the screen list, says elections. Election include mode. So when you pick an electoral act, what are the things you expected to be an electoral act? Mode of election, the section in question is just a subset of section 52 of the bill. Section 52 prescribed the mode of election by open secret ballot and recognized that there will be electronic voting. But when it comes to transmission of election results, the Gaia committee came with a recommendation that electronic transmission of results where and when practicable. I'm a legal practitioner. Where and when practicable is not only nebulous, it is vague and gives a discretion that can be mischievous in the political context. What we said is this: the institution of government that can certify security and adequacy of network is the NCC. NCC is not an arm of APC, it's not an arm of a President Buhari organization. So if NCC cannot certify as to the certitude of security and network coverage, then what is views about electronic transmission of results. So we are for electronic transmission, but in a way that does not allow somebody, that I will give you the mischief that could be created. I come from Osun Central. It could well be that INEC will say when it comes to Osogbo local government, we can transmit. But when it comes to Ifedayo, we could not transmit. What a staccato system, unpredictable, indescribable in terms of certitude in an electoral provision.
Why can't we have the option of either of the two? Because at the end of the day, we do know that the network provision in the country is not as strong in some places like it is in the other places. Why
we are still at the conference stage. I must say, Nigeria must know this. The version of Section 52, Section 3 passed by the Senate is different from the version passed by the House of Representatives. So we are going to have a conference. So I think everybody should keep their gunpowder until harmonization. It is then we know the final fashion that will go.
Well,
but we speak
out
of conviction that we cannot have a law that is nebulous, vague, and capable of being used for mischievous.
Well, I like the fact that you've actually gone to the fact that there's going to be, that joint committee of both the Senate and the House of Representatives. And I know that that will still happen as it concerns the issue of state creation. So moving forward right now, you have actually said that state creation is not a priority of the Night Assembly.
Our priority is to make a constitution that address the structure of government in a way that deliver on the welfare and security of the Nigerians.
Are you going to take into consideration the various agitations in the country calling for regionalism, state police, local government police, as the case may be?
I actually have a bill, a constitutional bill I introduced on the issue of state police. But I will tell you, the question of constitutional making by our constitution, the existing ground norm is the 1999 constitution. You have to comply with the threshold of majority required. When it is ordinary provision, you need 2/3 of the National Assembly members. I think in the Senate that's about about 79 members. You need House of Representatives. You also need 2/3 of the House of Representatives. When it comes to constitutional making, you need a consensus building process, a process that is not minority inclined. Our constitution contemplates that any amendment to the constitution must be broad-based, must have broad consensus of the Nigerian people. It's not just about elite alone, but must get the majority of people to accept and endorse that proposition.
Well, there are still some school of thought that said as for the fact that we've seen 9 constitutional adjustments during our democratic dispensation in our country. Of course, we saw some changes from the 60 to 63 to 79 to 1999, and now a new constitutional review. Some would say, yes, this is a way of actually, you know, getting to answer the people, their yearnings for some changes to be done to the constitution. Whereas someone else would say, this is just a way for the politicians to really remove the minds of the people from the real issues on ground. In your opinion, what divide do we stand here with this constitutional review that is currently ongoing with the Ninth Assembly?
You see, when you have a country of 120 million people, and in a democracy, you have diverse ideas. So I respect that people will definitely have ideas. They will have criticism against the process. But I will tell you, the seriousness that we are attached to this process cannot be questioned. Even during recess, we are still sitting and considering provision. I can tell you that when it comes to matters on the excluded list, we are already considering making some of them concurrent so that the state will have more legislative competence and executive competence to be able to drive autonomy in that regard. But you see, constitutional making process is a process that is all embracing. It is not just about what is in the brain of one individual. It is about what is accepted by generality of the people within the context of existing ground norm.
Finally, and excuse me, very briefly, when should Nigerians expect you to finish work on this constitution?
Hopefully, we are going to lay before the end of October. We're going to lay before the National Assembly our report. And that's why we're working. Even during this recess, we're going to have another retreat, this time around, joint retreat with the House of Representatives, so that we can harmonize our position and present it. So hopefully, by the end of the year, we should have an amended constitution for Nigeria. But I will say that constitutional making process is continue to be an engaging process for our country.
Even though we'll now get the world record for the highest turnover of a national constitution with all of the adjustments. We'd have to say thank you so much for joining us tonight on